What's up, YouTube? Let's make the biggest snare ever. So I actually stole this idea from Tron. He's got a YouTube channel now called Homegrown Audio Channel. You should definitely go check that out. He made a video resampling biggest snare ever, but he used Serum. So I kind of want to put a twist on that. I want to use a different plugin. I want to use Backbone for this because I think it's got its own whole set of features that are super interesting for this type of thing. But I'm going to be using the same video. Let's just jump into Cubase quickly. So I'm lucky in that my sound card has the ability to create a loop back channel. So I'm actually going to go audio track. Let's select the input loop 1 and 2. And let's just call this sample. And I just got to make sure that my loop back outputs are sending the correct thing. So I actually want to solo this channel and then turn the loop mode off, just so we can record a nice big sample, because we might get a couple of snares out of this. So first thing, I just want to make sure I'm getting some nice volume into that sample. Nothing. He slapped the soul out of that guy. Okay, so I just want to grab these samples quick, and then we can go look for some more. Okay, so what I want to do is, I don't want to cut off too much. We can go in later and sort of fine tune it, but let's just pop these over here, and then we can go ahead and find some more sample audio sources. Oh, that's another soul shaker. Okay, I think we've got enough to work with. Let's look at processing these samples and fine-tuning them a little bit so that they start at the start point and all sorts of things. So here at the top we've got the snap to zero crossing. What we can do is we can just, and then we can like zoom into the sample and find like the actual exact beginning of where that slap starts, and then we can click grid again. Let's just have a listen to this. So we can also cut off some of this tail. Okay, that's good. Let's look at some of these other ones. Again, let's find the scissor tool, snap to zero crossing, zoom right in here. What do we want? Let's go with that one. Make it a bit tighter. And then grid again. Let's have a listen here. Yeah, that's obviously the Vasily Kamotsky. You can hear it. It's kind of got resonance. Also an epic one. I promise you the exciting part is coming. Okay, so let's have a look at these tails. Then we can look at like bouncing them, normalizing them, and all sorts of stuff. Cool, so now what I want to do is can actually just pop these all onto this Audible channel. Now I want to go in and right click on each one, bounce selection, and then process normalize. And let's just normalize this to -0.1, just so we can get them all to a kind of similar volume to make it easier to process afterwards. Okay, so once we've got the kind of housekeeping stuff in order, let's go into Backbone and we can start some creative sound design type stuff. So let's just mute this channel, and to make things easier I'm going to keep the just the stuff I'm doing in this tutorial above this line. So anything below the line is, you know, stuff from the track that I had already made, just so that it's a little bit clearer for you guys. So let's open up Backbone, and then we can start dragging some of these samples in here. So I found this one I think sounded the best, so let's just start with that one. So I also just want to put in like a really basic MIDI pattern for a snare, so it'll be on the off. Let's just see. So there's various things we can do here. I kind of want to look at taking the sample and splitting it using this decomposer over here. So what we can do is we can click pre-listen, and what it does is it kind of analyzes the sample and splits it, and then we can apply various of these parameters. We can, if you haven't seen my video on what the decomposer is, you probably want to check it out before trying to understand what exactly is going on here. So what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to try to remove that kind of like low-end rumbly sound using this. So the decompose basically turns it into two layers, a noise and a tonal layer. As you can see, the tonal is kind of more, it's closer to kind of like a sine wave, whereas the noise is more noisy. So here what we can do is I actually want to adjust the sample start position a little bit, just so that we can actually just time it the same on both. Let's just zoom in here a bit. 0.01, and then let's jump into the tonal 0.01 as well, just so it's a little bit cleaner. As you can hear, it's kind of like removed this kind of like almost like room tone, or there's even some like weird harmonic distortion in there from obviously the low quality rip or something like that. It's kind of removed that. But now the cool thing about this is it's got this resynth engine, sorry, this one over here, and we can use this to turn that kind of like tonal element in the sound into something a little bit more sort of pure, using this purity knob, so it'll be basically closer to just a sine wave. I feel like that's not quite what we usually want in a snare, you know, that kind of like low frequency tone. So I'd find I'd probably end up, you know, shifting it up by, let's say 12, you know, up an octave. Let's see if that gives us more of a kind of mid-range punch. I guess we don't have to be exact here. Or we could even give it some envelope. And here we can use a filter to kind of like really just bring out that kind of like pluckiness of that tonal layer. Maybe some distortion as well. So then we can jump in and start fine-tuning the envelopes. You know, what I like to do on the noise layer, I also turned off the key follow for the pitch, so we can, change the pitch of that kind of like tonal layer using MIDI, and it won't affect that kind of like sample. It won't affect the nature of that sample. Then what I also like to do is fine tune the envelope, and if you give it like this kind of motion here, like a dip in the beginning, it gives it this nice like slapping kind of sound. Check this out. We can also give it some velocity, so we can choose which layers have more velocity, which is pretty cool. So we can say, the tonal layer 100% velocity change, whereas the noise layer not as much. And we can also maybe do like some slight, decay adjustment on the velocity, like maybe the harder it hits, the wider it opens. Let's say 22, and then move this down. Let's start to mix in some other sources there. Actually, what I want to do is let me just bounce out. I'm going to drag this out over here so that I can upload it for my Patreons in case you guys want to use that and you don't have this plugin. Anyway, so let's look at dropping some more layers in there with some of these other samples that we grabbed. So we're probably going to want to drop these in and automatically just turn the volume down all the way, just so that we can like slowly mix it in and it's not like a massive distorted thing that we have to deal with suddenly. So let's just drop these in, volume down. I'm actually just going to go with all of them and we can just play around. So what I like doing is pan separation on these to get like some really, really wide slaps. We want like multi-dimensional soul-shattering slap sounds. So we want to pan the layers individually, so one of them left, one of them right, and then we can start mixing them in to see how it changes the sound. Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I found that pretty fun to, do something different for a change. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, have fun sampling your own source sounds and go wild. Just don't slap people and try to record that, or slap yourself for that matter. So yeah, like I said, I'm going to be posting these samples to my Patreon for all my $5 supporters. So if you want to know what that's all about, check out the link that's going to be on the screen right now. And yeah, as usual, if you like this video, please consider subscribing to see more and hit that like button. See you guys next time.